Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Speak Up Sis Everyday Woman series here on the Speak Up Sis YouTube channel. My name is Angel Charmaine, and I am your hostess for the month. Listen, y'all, we are on day 22, and we've got an amazing woman here today. This is actually a day for celebration. It's her birthday. So we're going to be really kind and loving and warm and all that good stuff. I mean, we're like that every day, but we're going to give her just a little extra love today. So make sure you drop your happy birthdays and all that good stuff in the chat. Let her know that you're celebrating her life with her on today. But before we do that, I would like to make sure that all of you, maybe you're new to the series, maybe you're new into the space. I'd like for all of you to know why we are here. The Everyday Woman series is an opportunity for everyday women to open up their mouths and share just a little bit of their testimonies in order to help another woman along her journey. Speaking up is healing, it's therapeutic. It's what we all need to do in order to overcome, the hard stuff of life. And so this particular month, the theme is lessons lived, laughed, learned. And after the Shakaria Richardson situation, I realized that, you know what? She needs some women to stand behind her and stand in solidarity with her to say, listen, little sis, we've all been there. We've all made some decisions that we had to live through and that we had to learn from. But you know what? You will get to a point where you will laugh about it. This too shall pass and you're going to be okay. And so that is why this month's theme is lessons lived, laughed, learned. So I want to thank our sponsor for today, Miss Nicole Vick. She is an author, an activist, and a stylist. And I want to talk to you all just a little bit about her. All right. So let's share. In her book, Pushing Through, Finding Light in Every Lesson, new author Nicole Vick gives readers an intimate look into the highs and lows of her life while exploring serious concepts like health, economic equity, and structural racism. The book follows Vick's life from her childhood days in the neglected community of South Central Los Angeles through her years at a prestigious university as a teen mother to her adult life as a health professional working in underserved communities throughout Los Angeles County. In Pushing Through, Vick shares both the heartbreaking pain and the extraordinary triumphs that led her to advocacy and social justice work. As a health educator, she wants readers to be able to see and understand how growing up in poor neighborhoods, attending underfunded schools, and having limited access to healthy foods and quality health care can impact the trajectory of your life. She says, I want readers to see how abstract public health concepts, such as health equity and the social, listen, that's how abstract it is because your girl can hardly even pronounce it. Determinants of health play out in real time. But she also wants to emphasize that someone's past does not dictate their future. I want readers to feel encouraged by my journey and to know that there's always the opportunity to persevere even when things seem impossible, she said. In the foreword, former California Senator Holly J. Mitchell praised Vick for her vulnerability and transparency. Not every autobiography will include such honesty and grit, she wrote. Los Angeles Council member Marquise Harris Dawson was also impressed with Vick's poignant story. This is a bare knuckles, honest appraisal of personal and familial triumphs and failures in the context of deeply problematic social systems, including education, economy, and most pointedly, health, he wrote. Pushing Through is currently available wherever books are sold online and in select bookstores. Simply Google the book title and author to locate a store near you. Also, keep an eye out for her soon to be released guided journal, Push Through 52 Weeks of Light and Tough Times. I want to say thank you, Nicole D. Vick, for sponsoring day 22 of the Everyday Woman series. I appreciate you. Sponsors like you make this program possible. You all can connect with Nicole at www.nicoledvick.com. Her website will be scrolling at the bottom of the screen throughout tonight's program. So let's meet the woman of the hour. How you doing, sis?
I am doing so well. I said, "Ooh, I got her on that word, that determinant."
Yeah, I was like, okay, that's the beauty in this being the Everyday Woman series,
Yes.
because it's so informal and I can just be an everyday woman who Geechee and from the coast of Savannah, and I can just tell the English language all day long if I want to. Thank you so much for joining us. I believe I met you through Denshay, through Instagram. Actually, I think I was introduced to you through fashion, through your fashion sense, and then after that, just following your journey and watching you, and you're just so filled with life, and you're always smiling, and your daughter is beautiful, and the relationship you have with her, and I'm just like, I need to be in her space, and so once we got a chance to talk on the talk show about your book, I was like, okay, I'm just going to stay in her space. So I just appreciate you gracing the Speak Up Sis platform to share a lesson lived, laughed, and learned. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm so excited. I'm
That's
so
what's
excited.
up. Yeah, so I'm going to move out of the way because we're all here to listen to you tonight. Are you ready?
I am ready.
All right, let's get it.
All right. Hey, everybody. I'm so glad to be here. And I really, really want to thank Angel for this opportunity. I think Speak Up Sis is an amazing platform. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to share my story with all of you today. As she mentioned, today is my 43rd birthday. I had to think about it for a second. How old am I? Because I don't remember. 43 years old. And I'm so grateful that I had the chance to actually do my talk today on my 43rd birthday. So I am just going to jump right in. I'm going to talk to y'all about my oopsie moment, my failure. I don't believe there are really failures in life, but we just gonna be real about it. I'm gonna talk to you about how the grocery store saved my life. Now, this was back in like 1996, so many, many years ago. I was a college freshman, a young girl, trying to make my way through life. And the funny thing is, before I jump into this story, I want to share something with you. Um, Again, the concept of this conversation today is about failure, but the mistakes that have caused us to learn some lessons and do things differently in life. And it to me is so funny how life sort of just works itself out. Right before or right after, as a matter of fact, Angel and I talked about me being on this series that she's doing. I got accepted into my doctorate program at USC. I'm a triple Trojan. This is my third time in the university. I have a class with Professor Lynch, and he talked a lot about how you need to look at your failures and find patterns and think through what impact they have had on you and on other people. He actually calls this assignment a failure resume. And it was really interesting because I'm like, well, a resume is supposed to be all the good things that you've done, all the wonderful accomplishments that you've done at work, your education. He said, no, I want a resume with all your failures, what you've done wrong, how they have affected you and other people. And so to have this assignment from him, and then also have to think through this for Angel, I was like, wow, this is a really good way to think through what things I have done wrong, and how I have pushed through them. Now, let's go on back to 1996. I'm in this grocery store with my mother. And at the time, I was a college freshman. I still lived at home because, honey, I know some of y'all can identify. It wasn't no money to be staying on nobody's dorm or any of that. So I lived at home with my parents and my brother. And we were doing life as we always had done it, grocery shopping together. Everything kind of was happening just like it was happening prior to me starting school. Now, on one particular day, I had made a decision that I was going to tell my mother something really, really important. But I knew that I had to tell her this in a public space, because if I did not tell her in a public space, she was going to harm me. I was certain that I was going to get beat up. I don't know. I just knew it wasn't going to end well. And so I said, let me tell her at the grocery store. So here's how the grocery store saved me. We walk into this Ralph's, we're shopping. She's picking up produce and I'm with her. And then I kind of break away from her. And I end up in the vitamin aisle. And I'm sure some of you are smart enough to know what I'm about to tell you next. I head over to the prenatal vitamins, pick up a bottle of prenatal vitamins, walk over and place them in the cart. As you can tell, I had not thought this through. I didn't think about how I was going to say what I wanted to say or anything. I kind of just picked up the vitamins, threw them in the cart, and waited for her to see it and figure out what her response was. And I remember her kind of almost immediately looking in the cart. She kind of looked down and she was like, "What are these?" They were prenatal vitamins. She said, "What do you need these for?" And I just remember just tears, crying, "I'm pregnant." And her response actually shocked me. So before I tell you what she said, let's back up so I can go into the story leading up to the grocery store situation. I had a boyfriend in high school who I thought I was in love with. I thought would be my husband one day. I don't know. I was young and dumb. I didn't have any idea of how things worked. And so I was so enamored with this man, and he's a great father, and a great guy, but, didn't really take any precautions that I should have taken. I think there was some level of insecurity about, looking for birth control or accessing birth control. And so, as teenagers often do, we don't make decisions in our best interest, and we kind of just go along to get along, or we want what we want, right? And so I started college as a freshman. I was pregnant. I didn't realize it until maybe 6 or 8, maybe 10 weeks in, because what happened was I'm working at a restaurant on campus, and I'm at the cashier, and the students are bringing their food up to me. And for some reason, pasta, spaghetti sauce made me sick. The other coworkers were like, "Girl, maybe you just got the flu. Maybe you got stomach flu. Maybe something else is wrong." And I was like, "Yes, I probably need to go to the doctor." And so I went to the doctor on campus, and she was a wonderful physician. And she said, "You know what? Yeah." Something might be happening. She was like, "Don't worry. Let me do a vaginal exam. I'm going to be able to kind of see, and do some things to tell. And then we'll do a pregnancy test and we'll figure it out." And she was like, "Yeah, I feel something there. Let's go ahead and do the pregnancy test, a blood test." And so several minutes passed by. She was like, "Yep, you're pregnant, 10 weeks pregnant." Yep. And I'm like, okay. At that time, my daughter's father and I were not on good terms. I think we broke up really shortly afterwards. And so, again, the immediate thing was, how are we going to break the news to my family that this was happening? Up until then, I was the smartest kid in class. I was the salutatorian for my high school graduation. I got good grades. I followed the rules. I did everything I was supposed to do, right? And so this was a big oopsie. This wasn't a minor oopsie. This wasn't dropping a cell phone on the ground and hoping, oops, let's go get it fixed. This was major, life-changing situation. I had just started school. And as you all know, and probably have experienced, school for all of us, especially college, especially for Black women, is a ticket out of poverty. It is a way to, in some way, secure economic security for ourselves. And so to have this pregnancy right when I just got in was really like, oh man, I have messed up. And so fast forward, we're in the grocery store. I decide that's how I'm telling my mom. I expected her to yell. I expected her to be angry, to be disappointed, and to be sad, or a mixture of those things. And my mom really shocked me and said to me, it's okay. Don't cry. We're going to be fine. And I don't know, many of you probably have never met my mom. My mom is not that person. She is not, it's okay. That is not her. I'm that way. That's not her. So for her to perhaps step outside of herself and really want to try to make me feel okay, it was a earth-shattering moment for me. I had never experienced that from her. And so I immediately calmed down. Now the next barrier was telling dad. And so I told my dad, and my dad is pretty even-tempered, so he was okay. Now, when my brother found out, my younger brother, 5 years younger than me, found out, he was, I think, disappointed and upset. I remember him literally walking out of the front door. I don't even know where he went. And sometime later, he came back. He was really, really upset. That teen pregnancy set me up in a way that, things could have gone well, or they could have gone terribly. And I just want to stop and say, from my public health background, I, of course, hear many stories about women that are young and are pregnant or are parenting, who have to quit school, who have to enter the workforce, have their dreams deferred, denied, delayed. And it definitely has an impact on their future outcomes for themselves and their families. Also in public health, I hear a lot about infant mortality, specifically among Black women, or even maternal mortality among Black women. And so I was literally in that space, a statistic. I was a teen mother, and my daughter actually was born premature. And one of the risk factors for infant mortality is prematurity. So we were really teetering on some really shaky ground in that moment. But again, the support of my family, my mother literally said to me, give me your baby, go to school. And so I was living at home, and we got to bond with her, my daughter, and my mom really stepped out and stepped up and made it possible for me to be where I am today. And I know that every grandma cannot do that. I was talking to my daughter recently. She's 24 now. Most grandmothers can't do that because most grandmothers are still in the workforce and still need to pay the bills. So they can't just stay home and watch the grandchild. They have to do other things. And so I recognize and realize the gift that I was given 24 years ago that can never be repaid. Like, how can I repay my mother for that sacrifice? So that is an example of the biggest oops in my life that I was able to push through from. There were situations where at school, I had administrators who don't look like me, just gonna put it, they don't, say to me, when I ask for help and support, why don't you take a leave of absence? Why don't you just go ahead and, take a year or two off and then come back? And I can remember looking at them like, you must be out your mind. I just didn't understand how someone could say to me, who's trying to do the right thing, that I should delay trying to get my education, when I understand and know that education is one of the primary drivers of economic security for myself and my daughter. And I am so grateful for and I'm going to say it, and people tell me, don't say this about yourselves, but I have to, because I think it's accurate. I'm so grateful that I was young and dumb enough not to sell myself short. I'm getting emotional right now. But how many times have we been sold short or been told to do something that is against what we know to be true? Right? If I had said, okay, sir, you're right, let me go ahead and take a leave of absence, what would my life look like today? I have um, accomplished so much in my career, in my endeavors outside of my job. I've written a book. I've written 2 books. I've done things like pop-up shops in my backyard to support Black women business owners. I've been a commissioner for the city of Los Angeles. There's so much that has happened in my life. And I think that if I had listened to that one person that was about to set me on the wrong path. So sometimes you got to listen to what's inside, even if what other people that are supposed to know more than you are telling you, like, sir, that's not for me. This ain't the goal for me. So thank you, but no. Literally, and I know I'm kind of talking a little bit in circles, but it's just I gotta speak what's coming out, and speak from my heart. That I didn't realize how upsetting that would be to talk about that, but that was like, bruh, you about to mess me. You about to mess me up. Anyway, and so I'll just say this. I had my daughter 8 weeks early. She was supposed to be due in May. I had her in March. I had her on a Wednesday. They sent me home from the hospital on Friday. I went to church on Easter Sunday, and I went to school on Monday. And I kept going. To me, there was no other option. And how many of us have had that to make those kind of decisions? Like, there is no other option but to continue to push through. And I just challenge all of you to think about any situation in your life where, again, someone that's supposed to know more than you, smarter than you, be the person in charge, is leading you down the wrong path. Don't let them do it. Okay, I'm gonna stop here. I thank you for listening to my story, because girl, I've been just started crying. Y'all gonna be able to understand me. But I really, really am thankful for you all listening to my story. Girl.
Trust me. Listen, we all right. We all right with tears here on Speak Up Sis podcast. We are so okay with tears in this space. Listen, thank you so much for that share. I was listening, like I was almost getting emotional. Being on the other end of that, to get pregnant as soon as you get to college. I was the chick who waited until senior year last semester. Yeah, to get pregnant as an education major. And in 1999, in the Bible Belt, Georgia, with no husband. And same thing, I had an advisor who doesn't look like me, um, who suggested that I have the baby, so that I wouldn't risk getting an unsatisfactory just because people don't agree with unwed mothers being teachers, you know. And like you, I'm like, man, I done lived in the projects. I done went from city to city, school to school. My mama just barely getting off drugs. I can't. What else am I gonna do? There
Right.
isn't anything else for me to do. I gotta do this. I cannot not student teach. Like, if I don't go student teach, I'm gonna be in the projects with a baby. I can't do it. And same thing. Listen, it can happen at the beginning. You have an end. You can happen in the middle. But I bless God for the grocery store.
Saved my life. Saved it. Thank you, Ralph.
Somehow I
Thank you
have a
so much.
feeling. Somehow I have a feeling, though, that the living room would have saved your life, right? Just listening to you talk about your mom, I think the kitchen would have saved your life. And I think it's a beautiful thing to have a mother who understands the pressure and the stress that you were under and didn't act, because I'm sure she wasn't happy, but she
Oh yeah.
knew, right? I know I was 22 and crying and snotting, and my sorority sister's like, I ain't going with my mom. And my mom was like, you're 22, you know, like you're an adult. It's like, I know, but then I get disappointed. But I bless God. Thank you,
Yes.
sis. This was a good one. This was a
Thank
good one.
you.
Do you have sort of a one good solid nugget that you want to drop in everybody's lap before we let them go?
I think the biggest thing again is just trust your instincts, trust your heart. When you know what the right thing is to do, you will do it. And I think again, I didn't know, but I knew that wasn't the right answer.
Mhm.
Like, right, I don't know everything, but I'm like, that ain't the right one. That ain't
Mhm.
it. So trust what's here and what's here, and you will never be failed ever at all. Period.
Hey, we can drop the mic on that one. We can drop the mic. Happy, happy, happy 43rd birthday. It only gets gooder and gooder in the 40s, right? Right. Let me tell y'all, little 20 somethings and 30 somethings, y'all think y'all doing something, but wait till you hit that, wait till you hit that good old 40.
Yeah.
It just gets better and better, like fine wine every year. So
Now your
listen,
hairline might thin out. Your
what
hairline might thin out, but that's okay.
listen, I got a couple of gray strands. I was like, oh goodness. Okay, I'm gonna just put a little edge slicker on there or something, and we're gonna be fine tomorrow. So listen, everybody. I want to also thank you again, Nicole Vick, for sponsoring day 22 of the Everyday Woman series. Y'all, listen, go get the book. It's a good book. This is a black woman doing great things. It's rare you're gonna get a mix of the health sciences and that whole industry she's in, mixed with personal stories, a personal testament to understanding that system, and because she lived through that system. So it's a wonderful book. Go get it. All right. So NicoleDVick.com. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And with that, everybody, we are done for the night, and we will see you all tomorrow night for day 23, when we meet another woman who's going to share a lesson lived, laughed, learned. You have a good night, Nicole, and enjoy the rest of your birthday.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.